apparently always happened. It was a good way for the cops to get paid off. It won't be that kind of, you'll kill everybody there. So the plan is hatched. Capone said, when we decide to do it, I'll make sure I'm having dinner with the mayor. But Gern, you go to California. You just don't be there. So the plan is hatched. They have a picture. They see a guy that looks like Bugs Moran going into the brewery. It is not, but they think it is, and the call goes out. The 3 fake police drive up. Moran drives up. The real Moran sees the police. He goes next door to have coffee. He doesn't want any part of this. 3 police line up, 7 men against the wall. They think it's a payoff. They won't take the money. When the men are facing the wall, they open the door and come 3 guys with machine guns. They take the machine guns. The cops pull rifles out of their coats. 416 bullets were found in that room. When the real police showed up 3 hours later. 3 days ago, long time. 3 hours later.
No way.
What was miraculous of the 7 men that were shot? 416 bullets that they found. 1 man, Frank Lusenberg, is still alive. Couldn't believe it. To show you the criminal mind, even back then, they asked Lusenberg, who shot you? Before you die, do something honest. Make your life worthwhile. Make it real. Who shot you? And Gusenberg, in the finest voice he can come up with, shot me? Nobody shot me. And he died. Nobody is blamed for that event that happened on February the 14th, 1929. It's called the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Nobody blamed. Everybody blamed Al Capone because machine guns were Al Capone's favorite toy. And Al Capone said, if Bugs Moran says I did it, let's look at it this way. His name is Bugs. Bugs means crazy. Who's going to believe a crazy man? Nobody's ever arrested. What happened, though? The city of Chicago was not happy. Because, things were quieting down. Now you had this major gangland killing. The IRS is investigating Al Capone. The other criminals are getting nervous. They call Al Capone to a meeting in Atlantic City. They tell Al Capone, you're making it too hard on any of them. They insisted that he'd go away for a year. Let everything calm down. Capone agrees. Leaves Atlantic City, driven to Philadelphia, where he's going to take a train back home to Miami. Comes out of the movies in Philadelphia while waiting for the train. Is greeted by some of the Philadelphia police. When the Philadelphia police come up, Al Capone reaches in a pocket, holds out a gun, says, boys, I got a concealed weapon. Up until this time, the longest time Al Capone had spent in jail, 9 days, for carrying a concealed weapon. Pulls out the gun, he's arrested. He's charged with carrying a concealed weapon, tried, and by an amazing coincidence, it's 1 year in jail. And that's to be served in Philadelphia at the Eastern State Penitentiary. Penitentiary, by the way, is a Quaker term, meaning penitence. And a cell out here is 5 feet wide, 9 feet long, 7 feet tall, 2 meters by 3 meters. Quaker monks' praying cell and living cell was that size. So that's how the size of the cells came out. It wasn't just an arbitrary number. That's how they picked. So can you imagine the most prominent gangster in the world living in a cell 5 feet wide by 9 feet long? Eastern State Penitentiary is a museum in Philadelphia. You can go see a cell. This is a picture of it. So he's living in this 5 foot by 9 foot cell. The guy called the most prominent gangster in history. Could he do it? Could he survive in a cell like that? Do you think he can do it? Could he do it? Could you do it? What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think? Could he do it? Could you live like that? Could you live in a horrible swallow like that? In that cell, Al Capone was able to put a Tiffany lamp, a feather bed, a Persian rug. There was no lock on the door. His uniforms were made to order. Cigars were made to order. He had a Dow Jones ticket tape machine. Not bad. He had a telephone in his cell. 2 lines to keep track of everything. I looked it up, by the way. You ever pay Trivial Pursuit? The answer is 1929. The question is the year of the first cell phone. I looked it up. Capone spends 7.5 months in prison. Gets out, gets bad news, there's no liquor in Chicago. Frankie Yale, his buddy in New York, is double-crossing him. He's hijacking the liquor and saying somebody else did it. He's getting paid over and over and over for liquor that he never delivers. Capone gets wind of it, goes to visit Frankie Yale in New York and gives him a message. And he said, do right by me, I'll do right by you. Do anything against me, that's it. New York City police said it was the first time a Tommy gun was used in a gangland killing in the city of New York. And Al Capone gets his vengeance. What's fascinating is something that happened to him in 1930. Al Capone wants to break the unions in the city of Chicago. He knew that prohibition wasn't going to last forever. So, he wants to break the unions. The first union he wants to break is the dairy union. And he goes to the Metamore Dairy. A dairy used to be on Peoria Avenue in Chicago. And he goes with a big smile, $25,000 to buy the dairy. He's turned down flat. Capone couldn't believe that this man would take the money. He returned a couple of days later. He had a much bigger smile. 4 guys with machine guns and $20,000, and proved that a machine gun and a smile buys you a business. He buys the dairy for $20,000 to break the unions. But what happened was a fascinating thing. Capone, a couple of things about him. To the average person in Chicago, he was worshipped by a lot because he would spread the money around, spend a lot of money on the average person. Spend a lot of money on kids. He would take kids to ball games, give kids money. It was Depression time in America. And Al Capone was upset that people didn't have money. And the food and the milk, and they were drinking sour milk and getting sick, many dying. And Al Capone wanted to do something about it. And he wanted his Metamore Dairy to do something about it. And the men experimented at the Metamore Dairy with Al Capone's pressure, Al Capone's money. And Al Capone goes to the Congress of the United States and the City Council of Chicago and presents a plan that was put up by the Metamore Dairy. It became federal law in 1934. The City of Chicago did it in 1933. The Metamore Dairy discovered a way to stop kids from drinking sour milk. And Al Capone and the Metamore Dairy did something very simple. Metamore Dairy milk had a label on it. It said milk must be used within 72 hours of date stamped on bottle. So when you think about expiration dates on milk, it's Al Capone's dairy, Al Capone's money, and Al Capone's persistence that created expiration dates on milk. So, you know, save a few, kill a few. Now, Al Capone is investigated by the Internal Revenue Service. Ed O'Hare, remember Mr. Mechanical Rabbit? Ed O'Hare had his son Bush who wanted to go to Naval Academy to become a Navy pilot. Didn't have the pull. So Ed O'Hare makes a deal with the devil, deal with the government, and said, I will turn in Al Capone if you let my son go to the Naval Academy. The government takes the offer. Ed O'Hare's son Butch goes to the Naval Academy. His name was Ed O'Hare Jr. Goes to the Naval Academy, World War II flying hero, wins the Congressional Medal of Honor, killed during the war. They named an airport after him in Chicago, I think. O'Hare International. But the government is not excited that that wasn't enough. What they did, Frank Earstein, the Internal Revenue Service, finds 10 slips of paper where Al Capone received $5,000, didn't report on his income tax, illegally earned money is taxable. They charge Al Capone on 10 counts of income tax evasion and 5 counts of filing false income tax returns. Al Capone is facing 55 years in prison. Well, Al Capone goes to the Federal District Attorney of Chicago. Says, I plead guilty. Give me 2 years in Chicago jail. And the plan is accepted. When Al Capone goes to trial, June 1931, in front of Judge Wilkinson throws out the plea deal. Says, I am not going to accept it. I want a jury to decide. Al Capone makes his not guilty plea. Trial is set for October 1931. In the movie The Untouchables, you talk about this black book and all this stuff. What really happened was that Al Capone tried to bribe all the potential jurors, 612 of them. 2 worked for the federal government as FBI agents, and that was accidental. They turn in Capone. Judge Wilkinson learns of a possible jury fix. So when Al Capone's trial starts October 31, Wilkinson switches the jury with a shoplifting jury in the next courtroom.